Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of the League One Review Show. But today it's an FA Cup special, and I'm joined by the one and only Ben Bloom from the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Welcome. Thank you for joining me, Ben. Tell everybody what you're about and just sell yourself, mate.
I'm all about that theme tune. Well, that sounded like Foreigner or something.
Great,
What was that?
It's like a montage.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, fantastic. No, I'm very pleased to speak to you. And whenever Ipswich sack their manager, I get trotted out over all sorts of different platforms. So, hence what I'm probably about to be asked. But no, you can find me Twitter at Benjamin Bloom, but in the main on YouTube. We do look mostly at the Championship, but we do have a little dabble in with my dearly departed shows. We look at 5 Premier League teams and 5 League One teams as well. And a quick plug for the Blue Monday podcast as well, which your audience might be a bit more tuned into, although non-Ipswich fans seem to get very grumpy with Ipswich fans in League One. So maybe they don't want to tune into that.
Maybe not. I think it's the case of potentially buying the league or having a lot of players and stuff.
Right.
Fantastic content creator. The link to the YouTube is in the description down below. Please head over, subscribe. You've probably already subscribed to him. He's got, how many is it now?
It wouldn't be classy to say. We're doing great over on the channel.
Doing very, very well. So thank you for giving up a bit of your time. You're doing a watch along for the QPR Stoke game, so I know that you push for time. So we will make a start on Ipswich Town. In the FA Cup, 0-0 against League Two Barrow. Thoughts on the game, mate? And this, as you say, it was Paul Cook's final game in charge.
Yeah, so the game, probably an hour after the game just became irrelevant, Dan, didn't it? You know, it's the biggest story was that of Paul Cook. You've got the numbers up there. It's a very Ipswich-like performance this season under Paul Cook, where, you know, they've kept the ball nicely, not really threatened. And there's, to use a well-worn football cliche, there's a soft underbelly to Ipswich under Paul Cook. And obviously the news then broke. I'm trying to think. It was probably not too much more than an hour after the game, because I thought, right, that's it, I'm done for the day. And it was pretty wet outside, and my missus kind of made it clear that the dogs needed taking for a walk, and she wasn't going to take the dogs for a walk. So out I go, and then all hell breaks loose. And I'm like, really? You're going to sack the manager right now? That's a very unhelpful thing to do. But obviously, I liked Paul Cook. Anyone who's ever come across him, he's a great guy. I know that's not the, be-all, end-all of whether someone should stay in a job or not. I'm sure you've been fond of Doncaster managers before, but they're not doing the job. They're not doing the job. So, yeah, I mean, good luck to him wherever he pops up now. And he's not going to be short of a job, is he, Paul Cook, with his resume? But it just seems at the moment that whoever, like, you could send Alex Ferguson into Ipswich at the moment, or I don't know, Klopp, Guardiola, Tuchel, whoever, and they'd end in the middle of League One, wouldn't they? But yeah, for once, and this has not always been the case with Ipswich, for once it seems like they're being very, very ruthless, because traditionally, other than Paul Hurst in 2018-19, traditionally, over the entire history of the club, managers have always been given 3 seasons basically to get things right, and Paul Cook's had 9 months.
It's not a long time, is it, to kind of stamp your philosophy or your thoughts on a squad? I know you've brought a lot of players in over the summer, and it was a bit of a tough start for you guys. Didn't quite click. It seemed to click against us at Portman Road, battered us 6-0, and from there it looked like you kind of pushed on a little bit, but results just not quite been there for him, and the hierarchy at Ipswich have clearly had enough and think time for a change and bring somebody else in ready for the January transfer window.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because we thought it had clicked. We beat Pompey 4-0 as well, and yourselves obviously fairly heavily. And then it kind of tailed off again. And we don't expect to, win every game or win 4-0 or 6-0, but everyone sort of is following the points per game and, watching that league table as it develops. And, yourself, you do exactly the same thing, don't you? That you need to be pushing towards that 1.7, 1.8 points per game to be really making inroads. And we know it's 90 points and 2 points per game to be right up there pushing. And Ipswich never really got anywhere near that under Paul Cook. You're right. It's not a long time to get your philosophy over. I can't argue with you on that one. And it's always a difficult one in this situation, Dan, because we'll never know the answer. Anyone who comes with the argument, had Paul Cook been left in charge, Ipswich would have done X, Y, Z. I can't have a counter to that argument because it didn't happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's all speculation, isn't it?
Yeah. So the owners, whether it's a good decision or a bad decision, is now, it's almost immaterial. And that's with all due respect to Paul Cook, who, as I said, I like, and good luck to him. And I'm sure we'll get him back in the game pretty soon. But the only thing now is good decision, bad decision is who do they hire as the next boss? That now is what this new ownership live and die on. And as you mentioned, in terms of buying the league, this hugely, viable League One squad has been put together. And I'm sure if you went to all the other 23 League One managers and said, you can swap 3, 5 or 7 players with Ipswich, I'm sure a lot of them would take 7, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they'd snap your hand off, definitely.
Yeah.
But you set up now where you're looking for a new manager. Is there anybody kind of lined up who's odds-on favourites for getting there? And do you think they'll be the right person to kind of push Ipswich on? Because the expectation is there to be in the top 6 and pushing for promotion, or is it a case of seeing who comes in and what they bring to the table, really?
I think, and we are, to use your word, we are speculating. I think the expectation is to push for top 6, isn't it? I mean, if you're in there in the long, and by the way, for anyone who wants to have a pop, that accept the world as it is. Certain clubs in League One have more money, more resource, more, whatever. So whether you agree with that expectation or not is entirely up to you. But that seems that if you're in for 2 years or 3 years with Paul Cook, you don't sack him before 4 weeks before a January window. That intimates that they want somebody else coming in, like you suggested, with a view to 7-point gap to the playoffs. And it's hard. It's a hard league. There's big clubs. There's Sunderland, Pompey, Oxford, etc. There's teams that are very well managed as well. Plymouth, Wickham, Rotherham. And there's teams that are just a nuisance. If you don't turn up to Cheltenham, Morecambe, Accrington, Cambridge, they'll beat you. And Ipswich just haven't been able to. Actually, they've beaten Pompey and Wickham. But yeah, just glaringly inconsistent. But I don't know. Does a new manager come in and win 8 out of his first 10 games, and we're sitting here going, they got that call right? I don't know. This is Ipswich, remember?
Yeah, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we'll sit here at the end of the season. We'll have all the answers, but the people that earn the big bucks, the CEOs that are going to make this decision, they don't have the benefit of hindsight. They have the benefit of we hope, a lot more knowledge and experience than us as fans and pundits or YouTubers, whatever you want to call it, have. But that hindsight would be a fine thing, wouldn't it?
So, as I say, conscious that you're doing a watch along.
We can go a little longer, Dan. That's fine if you want to keep.
As soon as you need to dip out, mate. Dip out. Cool. So, replay against Barrow. Confident about going into the 3rd round or not?
No. If you knew Ipswich's FA Cup record over the last 10 years, you're not confident. I don't think, and I'll get the number wrong, and Ipswich fans will have a pop at me. I don't think they've won a home FA Cup game. I think it might be like 2009. It's something insane like that over a decade. Ipswich are terrible in the FA Cup. Obviously, there was a lot of years in the Championship where the FA Cup third round was kind of seen as a nuisance. And, you know, you've done the whole Boxing Day, midweek, New Year's Day, whatever. And all the first teamers then get the day off in the FA Cup third round. But no, as soon as we got Barrow, you're like, well, that's going to be a replay, isn't it? There's a point where you think you'd rather lose than go right up to the northwest for a replay. But honestly, that could be. I don't know when the replay will be because we've got Charlton this Tuesday. I assume it'll be midweek, not this coming week, but the following week.
14th, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if you got the information there. So that could
14th or 21st, I think it'll be.
That could potentially, although if I'm an owner announcing a new manager, I might just wait until the day after. But that could potentially be the first game for a new manager as well. And it's just, you cover League One, don't you? It's just the slog, isn't it? These 3-game weeks, and especially if you're a Plymouth or, you know, when you've got a Plymouth in the league and you've got a Morecambe, a Fleetwood, and Accrington, the geography of some of these journeys, you want to mitigate that as best you can, don't you? And a cup replay,
travel, isn't there?
A cup replay away at Barrow is not the one if you don't need it. Yeah, no offense to Barrow. I'm talking about the length of the journey, by the way.
Yeah, I say, especially from Ipswich, it's not too bad from Donny to Barrow, but Ipswich, and like you said, Plymouth, every away game that they go to, it's a 2-hour journey, isn't it? So
it's ludicrous. Well, Ipswich is vaguely similar. It's only, Norwich is an hour away, but nothing else really is. I suppose you've got Cambridge and Peterborough. Nothing else really is close. And although I know there'll be a few Ipswich fans, the real nerdy groundhopper ones, who'll be like, "Oh, I can tick this one off. I've seen Ipswich play at 105 different grounds throughout the pyramid." So yeah, they'll be there. Don't you worry.
Yeah, there's always your diehards, isn't there?
Oh yes.
So before you head off, we will go on to Saturday's League One games, because there was a couple. Sunderland against Oxford. Have you seen much League One, being an Ipswich fan? I know you cover Championship more than anything.
Try my absolute best to keep across the kind of big stories. We were doing the super stream on my channel yesterday reacting to this one, because last week in League One, I'm sure you covered it, there was like 4 all like top 7, top 8 games, and it all got a bit confusing. It was much easier yesterday, and we kind of knew in this one that an Oxford win would take them above Sunderland. And not to make this all about Ipswich, but we saw some bits and bobs. Lee Johnson not necessarily getting on very well with the Sunderland fans, and of course Lee Johnson and Mark Ashton are kind of like that, and now the Ipswich job's open. So yeah, read into that what you will.
Yeah, there's a lot of coincidences happening.
Oh yes.
But yeah, I think Lee Johnson at Sunderland it's not quite clicking for him. He's not getting the results. I know Sunderland are in the top 6, but a little bit like Ipswich, I think that expectation to be up there pushing for top 2 is massive. Sunderland's a very heavy shirt to wear, as is Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth. You said it earlier in the stream that there's so many big clubs in League One that it's massively competitive. And for me, Oxford, they've been there in and around the top 6 for the last few seasons. Carl Robinson's doing a good job building a squad, and I think he's probably one of the longest serving managers in League One now. Do you think this is probably the season where they might break into the top 6 and potentially go up?
Honestly, this season seems like harder than have they lost in the playoffs the last 2 seasons, Oxford? I think they haven't they? Lost to Wickham in the final, didn't they? And lost to Blackpool last year, didn't they? So honestly, you would have made those seasons. I know Blackpool went hell for leather for about half a season last season, but this season's hard, isn't it? Really, really hard. And like you talk about big clubs relative to League One, I didn't even mention Sheffield Wednesday, did I? And they're on the edges of the playoffs as well. So, no, he's very consistent, Carl Robinson, very consistent with his sort of philosophies and the way they play. He's been a manager for a lot of years, actually. Now he's done MK and Charlton as well. He's done a few sort of middle of the pyramid, but big jobs, in that part of the.
He's respected at this level, isn't he?
Very much so. Yeah, very
he's a very
much
good job. I
so.
think 200 games at Oxford now, so that's no mean feat in modern football, is it?
Yeah, there's also this thing with him though, where August and September seems to be quite slow going, and then they improve. I know they often sell on players, Oxford, don't they? So maybe that's a mitigating factor. Look, they're going to be around it, but it's just an absolute bun fight, isn't it? Those playoff positions. So
it's a nine for League One. Hopefully, it stays as close as possible until January, because we need all the luck in the world to get out of the problems that we're in at the minute as a Rovers fan.
Absolutely, yeah.
See a competitive league and a tight league, I'm all for that at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, a good away result for Oxford. They've been hit with COVID over the last couple of weeks as well, so squad's been decimated a little bit. I think they'll be happy with that point away from home.
Absolutely, yeah. You know the deal, don't you? If you draw the away game, and that's the first game, you're confident at home. To be fair, I don't know whether they've played at Oxford already. I wouldn't have thought so, because we're not at the halfway point yet. Sometimes you get weird things on the fixture list where they throw up 2 games in December, but no, that's a perfectly serviceable result for Oxford, especially having gone behind in the game as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last League One fixture was Accrington 5, Fleetwood 1. I worry for Fleetwood this season. They've not looked great. Nappers is pulling his hair out. He's not a happy bunny. But I'm in that boat with him. I feel for him. The red card changed this game for me. It was a bit of a 50-50. I don't know if you saw it, Ben. Do you think it was a red?
I haven't seen the decision, but we were doing the stream yesterday, and as soon as that happened, I said some teams are just a damn nuisance. Accrington away with 10 men, it's not happening, is it? No. It's not. And I mean this in the nicest possible way. I've been to Accrington. They're horrible to play against. They get all on top of you. Good side. They're good at it, but 10 men, it's not the one, is it? They're not one that's going to spread out and still give you space with 10 men and try and play football. They'll just throttle you, and that's obviously what they did here.
Yeah, and Coleman's good at setting a team up to do that high press and just give you no time on the ball whatsoever. And like you say, when you've got 10 men, you're up against it straight away, aren't you? And Accrington in this one have taken the ball by the horns and absolutely battered Fleetwood. And like I say, Napper's not a happy bunny, but that's a good result for us Donny fans, because it keeps Fleetwood in and around that bottom 4 and kind of at touching distance for us to hopefully overtake.
And without wishing to patronise Doncaster, goal difference as well. You never know. You never know. It can be 1 goal or 2 goals at the end of the season, and one of your direct rivals losing 4 goals there. I just wanted to touch on Accrington. When I went to see Ipswich play Accrington in the FA Cup, and I sat pretty much on halfway, and you talk about squeezing, it genuinely felt the game was like being played within 5 meters either side of halfway. It was so squeezed up. They beat us as well. But yeah, they know exactly what they're doing, especially on that ground, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, they beat us already this season there.
Good side, yeah.
Yeah, you said it, just an absolute nuisance of a side, along with Cheltenham and Morecambe. And like you say, if you're not on it,
Cambridge.
If you're not on it at this level, you're going to struggle. So a quick look at the table before I let you get off for your live stream. Your watch along. Ipswich, mid-table, 11th. It's not quite good enough, is it?
No, and look, other sets of fans get very fed up with this, but remember, expectations are relative, aren't they? And if any squad in the division, Bolton, Cheltenham, whoever, had brought in the names we'd brought in, you would be expecting a playoff challenge. And no, none of us think we've got a divine right to make a playoff challenge. I don't know why that needs explaining, but Ipswich fans think they've got a divine right to bid. No, we don't. You try supporting us for the last 20 years, for God's sakes. But no, it's not good enough. And the higher-ups evidently agree with you, Dan. And that's why Paul Cook isn't in his job. And look at the games in hand as well. I'll reflect back on something you said. The only hope for Ipswich this season is just a big scrap, and the tide lowers because everyone takes points off everyone. But remember, sometimes that goes the other way, and everyone just keeps winning, and you need 75 points or whatever to get into the playoffs. The dog agrees as well.
Yeah, dog's going mad.
There you go.
But yeah, I agree. It can just completely separate your league where you've got a group of teams just pulling away because everybody's beating everybody.
The last good season we had, Dan, was in the Championship, and I think that season Wolves missed the playoffs with 78 points, possibly. So you can just get one of those ridiculous seasons. So hopefully it's not like that. That might bode quite well for you guys at the bottom, though, because that means the top teams are beating the bottom teams, which is what you want at the moment, don't you?
That is definitely what we want because we're still 6 points away from safety. You mentioned it, the goal difference is massive, minus 23 goals, but that Fleetwood defeat has taken them to -8. It's kept them well in and around that. So January is massive for us going into that. We need a lot of recruitment and a big turn in form because it's been a tough 12 months for us.
Yeah, it has. And I don't know if it was you that tweeted it, but I saw someone had tweeted the league table from, was it you? I think it was
this time last year we were third.
Incredible.
2 points away from top with 2 games in hand over first.
Amazing. Who was first at that point?
Lincoln. So they've had a similar they've had a similar downfall as well, but they made playoffs last season. So yeah, it's tough.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible how it turns, isn't it?
Yeah. Wicked. So I will let you get off and get set up for QPR.
Yeah, legend.
So, if you want
the glamour.
Please head across to Benjamin Bloom football channel to subscribe and show your support for him as well. Fantastic creator. If you like Championship, everything outside of Premier League, you've got myself, Ben, and other content creators. So yeah, please head over and subscribe to Ben.
Legend. Keep up the good work, Dan.
Yeah, you too, Ben. Thank you very much.
Take care, mate.
Take care. And what I will do now is I will stick in the StreamYard link so people can drop in just as we go through the last bits of the FA Cup before we finish off. That's in the chat. Couple of rules. Talk about the game that we've got on screen. Try and keep it snappy because we've only got 7 minutes before we finish off. Minimal swearing, obviously, and just be kind. So the link is in the chat now. Pop in and we will have a chat. Nice and easy because I'm flying solo now. But yeah, we will get on to the FA Cup games that I selected. We've done Ipswich. The next one on the list is Rotherham against Stockport. So I expected a bigger result for Rotherham in this one, doing very, very well in League One. League One leaders at the minute. But Stockport showed what they were all about against Bolton Wanderers in round one, National League Stockport. And they gave themselves a very good showing on Friday night against Rotherham as well. Fantastic travelling support, unreal. So credit there. But the goal to win it was very nice, well worked. Decent passing down the left-hand side and brought into Smith, who a deft touch just slotted it past the goalkeeper. But yeah, as the game went on, both teams could have added to the scoreline. Paddy Madden did have the ball in the back of the net for Stockport, but he was ruled offside. So Stockport very unfortunate not to be in the hat for the third round draw. But as I say, they've done no disservice to themselves on Friday night against a very good Rotherham United outfit. The next game that I had down was Bristol Rovers against Sutton United. I wanted to get Charlie onto the stream today, but he's busy. I know we've started very early because I've got a few things on this afternoon. But yeah, Bristol Rovers against Sutton United, and Bristol Rovers going 1-0 down in this game and then turning it around. They had to fight from behind to book their third round tie, and it was good. It was a good turnaround from Bristol Rovers. Definite penalty for me for their first, but the second goal for me, lovely header to win the game. 11 shots, 5 on target, and then you look at Sutton with the 7 and 3. So a very tightly contested FA Cup tie that Bristol Rovers just edge. moving on to the next game, I've gone with Lincoln against Hartlepool. Let me just find that. Lincoln against Hartlepool. I went with this one because our old centre back, Graham Lee, it was his first game in charge for Hartlepool, so I had a close eye on this one. And Hartlepool done very well to get through to the third round. And it's against a Lincoln side who have been struggling a little bit of late in League One, struggling to find goals. And the same happened yesterday with only 7 shots, 3 on target for Lincoln, whereas Hartlepool 5 shots, 3 on target. Another tightly contested FA Cup game, but it is an upset. League Two Hartlepool beating League One Lincoln, but there was chances for both teams in the first half, and then set piece just undid Lincoln at the back post, over to the back post, squared, and put away. It's down as a Fiorini own goal, but I wasn't sure. I thought it had been slotted away by the Hartlepool player, but obviously not. So it's been squared, and the defenders turned it into his own net. The next FA Cup game was another upset. Portsmouth against Harrogate Town, and Pompey, they've hit a bit of form in League One at the minute, but in this one, outplayed, outfought, and I think Portsmouth fans, if you're in the chat, let me know how the game went. I can only judge it on what I've seen in the highlights, and for me, early pressure from Pompey in the first half put plenty of pressure on Harrogate, but it just wasn't meant to be. They couldn't squeeze the ball into the back of the net, and it was all that pressure in the first half was undone on the 44th minute by Luke Armstrong. A lovely goal. He's got it at the edge of the box and curled it around the keeper into the bottom left-hand corner. A lovely finish, but then pretty much immediately Harrison replies for Portsmouth, making it 1-1. And it was fairly fortunate, that goal, a bit of a rebound, which has kind of squeezed its way through to Harrison. He slotted the ball away very well. But for me, the second half, Harrogate piled on the pressure, did all of the running, and definitely deserved to go through to the third round. But they left it very, very late. Jack Diamond on the 95th minute, grabbing the winner and breaking Pompey hearts. And you look at the stats, fairly even possession-wise. Shots as well, fairly even, but going to Fratton Park and doing what they've done to a Portsmouth side that are pretty much in form is very, it's no mean feat. So well done to Harrogate there for getting the win and going through to the third round. And finally, for today's live stream, we're almost at half an hour. Once again, big thank you to Ben Bloom for coming on and sharing a little bit of his, giving up a bit of his time. Really do appreciate it. Head over to his channel and give him some support on the watch along for the QPR Stoke game, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, to finish off, we will go with Doncaster versus Mansfield. So in the chat, if you went to the game, let us know your thoughts on this one. First game post Richie Wellens, and for me, it was a good start. We were playing with a bit of freedom. Brandon Horton gets his first goal on 7 minutes, and it was a decent finish. It was well worked down the right-hand side into Huula, who slotted it down the right-hand side to Barlow, and then Barlow squared it, and Horton's done well to lift it over the sliding defender to make it 1-0. And at that point, I was thinking, oh, maybe, just maybe, playing with a bit of freedom, things might have changed. But then we stopped doing what we did so well in the first half towards the end of the first half, and Mansfield started to get a foot back into the game, or a foothold into the game, and then they just didn't stop after the break. In the second half, very early on, Forrester, another set piece, flicked on from the near post, free header at the back post, and it was just far too simple. And then a brace from Lapsley. It was a great brace. There's nothing really that we can say against it. One-touch football for the third goal was fantastic. If you've not seen the highlights, please go and watch it. It's good football, but from a Rovers perspective, it was far too easy. the defence were just like mannequins, just stood. It was a training exercise to one touch pass around the defence, pass and move, and just cut us wide open. I just think the intensity that Mansfield played with in the second half was just far too much for a cobbled together squad. No blame on Gary McSheffrey on this one. And to be fair, I wouldn't blame Richie if he was still here, because I think the circumstances outside of Richie's control that he's had to deal with, the results haven't been good enough. So I get why Richie's no longer the manager. But the injuries, disrupted pre-season, issues with bringing players in and what have you. It's been a tough season for the Rovers. But there was a glimmer of hope towards the end. That third goal went in and the Demo absolutely emptied. But everybody who left missed Tommy Rowe's free kick. Well worked, laid it off and took the shot on. And it was a good finish. And it gave us, as I say, a glimmer of hope of staying in the tie. And if we'd have got that equaliser, we'd have been in the hat for the third round draw. But it wasn't meant to be. Mansfield deserved the win on the day for me. Fantastic second half performance. The travelling supporters were fantastic as well. Didn't stop singing. So disappointing to be out of the FA Cup. It's always something that I'd like to stay in. But as I say, it wasn't meant to be. So now what we've got is a big focus on the league. As I say, Rich is gone. We'll be looking at bringing a new manager in sooner rather than later. I think it's in the next couple of weeks. Ready for January, and January's pivotal. We need to be bringing plenty of recruits in to help us avoid the situation that we currently find ourselves in, having to put a lot of youngsters in and having to deal with kind of one or two. Well, we've got quite a lot of injuries, but one or two injuries and the depth of our squad is just not enough. So January is absolutely massive. But yeah, we will see how that goes. It's going to be a long one next week. We will be back at the normal time of 6:30. We've got Tuesday games, we've got Saturday games. Hopefully Punk Chef will be able to make that one. As I say, got stuff on this afternoon, so apologies for it being early. But please, if you're watching this later on in the evening or during the week, hit some comments in the section down below. Let me know your thoughts on the FA Cup this weekend and the League One fixtures. Once again, massive thank you to Ben Bloom for coming onto the channel. Fantastic creator. Go over to his channel, subscribe, show him support on. Well, they're doing the watch along now. It's just gone 2:30. But yeah, thank you for watching this one. It's only been a quick one. 8 selected games from League One and FA Cup round 2. As I say, it's going to be a busy one next week with a full fixture from Tuesday and Saturday. If you've enjoyed this one, please stick a big thumbs up on it for us, please. Comments in the section down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.